about CE5 and extraterrestrial contact, download my new book, now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple, and 14 other platforms. Book authored by Donald Ledesma. CE5, Frequencies of Contact.
Wind in my ear, fluid in the dark,
Alien Strand
chimes
Podcast.
on a string, something watching.
You know, there's sort of a nexus of disinformation and automatic truth factor that gets associated with anything UFO and ET. And that's been done since the 1950s by the CIA.
Parked up in the clouds above town, metal in the sunshine, then the thunder rolls them back down. I swear I saw windows, eyes behind the vapor and rain. I blink and it's normal, but it never feels the same.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Alien Strand Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Ledesma. And welcome to today's show. Man, it has been a while. Yes, it has. I decided to take a little break. Yes. And that's what I do for the holidays. I take breaks, man, because sometimes you have to. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, right? And as we talk and I watch about disclosures, discoveries, UFOs, UAPs, and everything out there that's, in the midst of it all, I still manage to keep up with the Joneses, right? Kind of keep up with everybody as it's out there. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to come, right? So we're still here in 2025 this is a pre-recorded podcast, December 28th, and I decided to go ahead and throw one out here before the year's over, right? And if you're new to podcasts or you're new to Alien Strand, welcome to Alien Strand Podcast. Welcome to ufology, man. That's what it's about. We're here to teach you about ufology and about extraterrestrials, aliens, Bigfoot, and conscious, subconscious, universe, everything, frequencies, everything that has to do with the unknown. And that's what we do here at Alien Strand. Now, if you're listening to us on iHeartRadio, Podbean, Amazon Music, you can listen to us everywhere, man. Spotify, especially Spotify. If you listen to us there, follow us there, give us a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up everywhere you listen to this podcast, because we're all over your favorite music platforms. So if you like to listen to music on a certain platform, look for Alien Strand Podcast. I'm sure you'll find it there as well, and please join us on Patreon. I just threw out a brand new video, about a 15-minute video for Patreon users, all right? It's free. You can join or do the $5 a month one, right? And that helps go a long way, and I really do appreciate the people that are paying for it. And I do private podcasts just for them, paid members, and just for them to see, because that's what you're paying for, right? To hear my thoughts and everything that has to do with UFOs or maybe new discoveries, right? I do talk about a new discovery in that podcast, so go ahead and check it out on Patreon. It's a video podcast. Go look for it there. You won't find it anywhere else but there. Follow us on Facebook. We're on Instagram. Go and click on after this podcast. It's going to say on the description, it's going to say all my links. All right. Click on that. You'll see everything for Alien Strand Podcast. You see everything from my video company, everything that's on there. So you can get a hold of me. I know you guys have been sending me emails on new people that want to come on the show, and I barely started getting those. Why? Because I had an iPhone, right? So I had an iPhone 11, all right? I've been holding on that thing for dear life, man, because, phones are expensive. Why are they so expensive? I don't know. I still don't get that today, but, anyway, it decided to start crapping out on me. You know how they go. They just start not working right. They start glitching, and then it takes forever to open up an app, and then apps don't want to download anymore. Did they do that on purpose? So that way you can buy a new phone? I don't know. I'm gonna have to go behind the curtain there and ask some people that work with these iPhones or even Galaxies or Androids. Just see if they do this crap on purpose so you can buy another $1,500 phone, man. Come on. Should they be that much? You can get a laptop right now. All right. Come on. You can get a laptop for about $150, $160, man. And it pretty much can do basically everything else. So let's bring these phone costs down, please. That's just my personal opinion. But anyway, so I get this iPhone 17 Pro Max Plus, right? Okay, or whatever you want to call it. It's great. It's fast. It does everything it needs to. Finally, I started getting my emails. Yes, from Alien Strand Dawn, from everything that I have out there, right? I got about 6 different emails. And I started receiving books and information on people that have been reaching out to me to get on the show. Believe me, I just saw these, and I'll get you on the show as soon as possible, all right? So we're going to try to do the best we can to get to do that. And like I said, I just got me a new operating system here, new iPhone, and I had to. You have to tweak everything, man. It's like you can't just go from what you have to remember all your passwords, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. Here we go. Anyway, so today, I decided to enough jabbering about myself. Right. So I hope everybody's doing well out there in audio land, because this is coming to you from audio and audio only. This will not be on video podcast. The only one that will be is Patreon, but not this one here specifically today. And we have come to an age of disclosure, just like the film that just came out, right? Age of disclosure. And are we in the age of disclosure? Or, as I call it, are we in the time of disclosure? And I think we are. I think we're in the time to where we need to get this information out to as many people as possible. Yes, as we do here on Alien Strand and other podcasts that are out there, which I really do love listening to, and because they have a lot of good insights, of course, on stories, and I have done stories on the older stories. They're just barely catching up to those. I've done them already, but hey, they said it better, go for it, listen to those. But the story doesn't change as far as UFOs from the past, right? And that's why I like not listening, but researching those from the past, because the past are more disclosure than you can think of, right? Why? Because the information is already set in black and white, right? It cannot be manipulated in any way, shape, or form. And I'm talking about to be changed, or the information to be changed as the original document was processed or made at the time, which is a book, an actual book that you hold in your hand, right? So the information is always there and it never changes. Now, let's get to that, because since we're talking about disclosure, information can change. And if you look at, I know we are in the age of technology, and of course, we looked for Google and all these search engines and everything like that for the information. Of course, we're looking at AI now, which is playing a significantly large part in our research today. Now, I'm going to tell you something about that, if you guys don't know this already. Now, when you go research, especially you people out there in TikTok land and all this stuff that I watch every once in a while. I don't watch it all. I just watch a little bit of it, only because the information is not quite where it should be. And the reason is because AI will only produce about 80% or 75% of the truth of what the information that you're looking for. It only picks up certain categories, certain words that will it will make presumptions on its own of what it thinks the answer actually is, and it's actually, it can be 70 to 80% correct only. Now you got to remember, there's 20% there that is incorrect, right? And it gives you the wrong information, dates, times, things like that, even names. So do your research. Don't always use AI or ChatGPT or all these AI crap. I'm not going to say crap because I use it as well, but I only use it because just to double check to see if it was correct or incorrect. Now, can it be changed later? Probably, as these creators of this ChatGPT and all these other Glocks or Grok or whatever you call it, where they can actually change the information as it's being processed, or as it's being made into black and white, right? So if you notice, so if you search something for Wikipedia, right, or you'll see it'll say Wikipedia, and if you look at a little bit below, it'll say things can be edited. So you can actually edit something that somebody put on Wikipedia. So what does that tell you? It's not going to be correct all the way, right? So this is why I say do your due diligence as far as research on black and white, going back into old books, going to your local bookstore and picking up a book of something that happened in the 1970s, 1980s, 1950s, and you'll get a lot of the general information of what you need, right? As far as disclosure, because this is what we're after. We're after disclosure in full set. So as we dig further into disclosure, we end up finding a lot of cover-ups and a lot of things that the big brother governments, not just the United States, but other governments as well, will actually not release information. Why? Security reasons. That's why. And it is what it is at that point. And this is what I'm trying to get across to as many people as possible. Not just through these films that these other people and directors are putting out there. And I get it. They're going after the content and views and hey, who is not, right? Who's not doing that? But who's after the real disclosure at that point? Excuse me as I take a drink of my Joe, which is coffee. And I love French roast. I don't know why it's strong, but it's great. But as we're talking about this, it is the information because of security reasons. This is why they don't put it out there, right? And we have to understand that this is why Big Brother covers everything up. And like I said, not just in the United States, but in other countries, Russia, China, Australia, a lot of these places have a lot of hidden content of disclosure that will not release to the public. Why? Well, they just don't want to scare the crap out of people. And because of what it actually really is. And that's the understanding that people don't know of what these things actually are and where they come from and what are they about. Maybe they know things that are deeper in the ancient history of time that we don't know, that possibly made some sort of changes in humanistic behavior and consciousness and things like that, right? Maybe they know something deeper that we don't. And this is why they keep things hidden. And are these films ever going to give us a straight answer? No. Why would they, right? It's not like they discovered something that we don't know. There's everything out there is public domain, right? So you can actually go out there and research it yourself and see for yourself what it is and what it's not. And that's the scary part of this. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back after this message.
Flute in the dark. chimes on a string, something watching. Shapes in the daylight, parked up in the clouds above town. Metal in the sunshine, then the thunder rolls them back down.
Alien Strand Podcast.
Secrets hiding in the white and gray. They wait till we're sleeping to pull us through the Milky Way. If I wake up screaming, will they let me keep my name? Clouds full of secrets, and nothing will look the same.
All right, welcome back. Hope you guys are enjoying today's content of Time for Disclosure, because that's what it is. It's exactly what it is. You know, we're trying to get out as much information as possible, right? As far as the disclosure. Now, a good friend of mine, her name's Heather McLennan she's from Scotland. She sent me this amazing book. It's called Of No Defiance Significance by John M. Jenkins, right? And it talks about a lot of UFO sightings, up close sightings that happened up in Scotland, right? And we're talking probably around maybe 1980, 1979, around that area. And it gets into a lot of detail. This guy was just a regular guy, just like you and I, right? And he ended up seeing something in December 10th, 1992, of something that was flashing up in the sky. He was with a gentleman up in Edinburgh, and he said it was there was like, he pulled over on the side of the road, and he starts seeing this light blinking, and it's kind of going brighter, and starts dimming down. And there's another gentleman that was standing there and that stopped his car as well, coming from the opposite direction, right? And they're both looking at it, and they're seeing this thing flashing, and it says, it reminded me of a miniature sun, he says. And he says, it looked like a small object, like if you put your fingers, like if you're pinching something, like the size of a sun, and then it would go bright and dim, bright and dim, right? So they're watching this thing. It says for about at least 5 minutes, they're watching this thing. And so him and the gentleman are just, and he notices that he remembers he has a camera that's inside of his glove box. So he starts thinking to himself, should I reach down into my glove box and grab my camera, or do I look like something crazy, right? Because at the time, you got to remember, this was 1992, I believe, in December 10th. So he says, he finally said, "No, I'm not going to." And he looks at the gentleman. He says, eventually, he says, aliens or not, I got to go. I got a piano I got to go tune. He says, I drove off thinking to myself that everyone in Edinburgh must have seen this striking event. He says, the newspapers should be full of it, but to his surprise, nothing was reported at the time, right? So, and this is part of his book that he's talking about. And in this book, he takes you on a small journey in this whole area of Scotland, right? From that time, from 1979, 1980, all the way to 92, about events that took place there in that general area. Things that people didn't really talk about, right? So, and he did this all by himself. He did investigating by himself, right? He's not no special person of, with a newspaper or anything. He just took it upon himself to figure out exactly what he was looking at. Because as a contactee, I'm going to put it to you this way, right? if you're new to ufology, this is what we call people that have contact, and that was contact between that UFO, UAP, whatever it was, and that other gentleman that was standing there. The contact that he made with him and what it made with them was something that opened his eyes, right? Which we call the awakening moment here in Alien Strand. This is the point where you awaken from your slumber, right? In other words, your thought processes start changing to where maybe a dopamine or whatever in your brain is actually starting to trigger, and sparks are flying, and you start thinking, wait a minute, it's not just us here, right? Is there something bigger or deeper or out there other than us? And this is his disclosure, and this is what he went out to go look for, right? So when you start thinking about his thought processes and his awakening moment, right? Because this is what happens to everyone. It even happened to me at the age of 14. I'm still writing a book about it. And because I want people to understand that what happens to people at that certain time, whether it's in their past or maybe it might happen in your near future, that something will happen to you, and it will adjust your mentality or your psyche. It will adjust you in a certain way where your thinking will not be the same anymore. You'll start thinking outside the box, as they say, right? So this is what we as contactees, people that have been contacted, even though you're not standing in front of an actual extraterrestrial itself, does not mean you're not a contactee. You still are a contactee, because it has made contact with you, right? And I always say this in the past, you are the antenna. It sends signals to you, and it actually made you think, right? As we go forward in life, as this gentleman did, it took him 4 or 5 years, maybe longer, to actually get more disclosure from the whole all the area there, the areas there in Scotland, right? And thank God for him. I applaud him for that, for doing that, because he put it out in a book, right? Because he wanted people to know, even though it's a small book, it's not real thick, like 300 pages, it's probably about 60 pages maybe, right? But it gives you enough information of what he found in disclosure at the point. And that, to me, is more of an investigator, as far as a citizen investigator. It sparked something inside of him to even write a book, right? It's called Of No Defense and Significance, right? And that's what the book's called. It has a big picture of an alien face in the very front in black and white. It's like a little cover book. It's nothing fancy schmancy, nothing like that. It feels like a little something they would hand to you in school, right? Small little book. It's not even shaped like a book. It's just kind of like papers folded together, but he still got the information out there, right? And as we talk about disclosure and what the government's doing today and what these films are doing today, as far as giving us a little more insight of what's happening to disclosure and what the governments are going to release or what they're not going to release. Just like Joe Rogan says, he goes, I feel like sometimes they send people to his show just to throw you in a different direction, right? In other words, they're part of the problem, not part of the solution. So, because he's got a large audience, millions and millions of people listen to his show or watch it. And what a good way to influence folks in a sense like that, to where not believing in UFOs, or sending them in a different direction to where if you're getting too close to the truth, they kind of throw people in the mix that are bought and paid for, right? So that way they go on the show thinking that they're legit, but they're actually not. They're just giving you the crappy information that really doesn't mean anything, because it's going to send you in signals. It's like a dog chasing its tail, right? Basically, it has been what we've been doing for years and years, right? We're the dogs chasing our tails. And it's crazy that they start talking about this documentary film, right? And there's one on let's see, it's called The Guardian. It's called A Lot of Stories, but Very Few Facts. Skeptics push back on the buzzy UFO documentary, right? So it said it has been hailed a game changer to public attitudes towards UFOs, enduring the culture of silence around that claims it dismissed as preserve of the conspiracy theorists and crackpots. The age of disclosure has been boosted is in its efforts to shift a conversation about extraterrestrials from the fringe to the mainstream, with Capitol Hill screening the considerable commercial success, right? It broke the record for highest grossing documentary on Amazon's Prime Video within 48 hours of its release. Hello. Which is great. Hey, great job, brother, by the way. But hey, I know what's going on there. But not everyone is impressed with the film's claims that UFOs are now called UAPs, unidentified aerial anomalous phenomena, and real, and the government have been hiding evidence for decades. This is several skeptics have gone online to push the backlash of Age of Disclosure, commenting that it has been overhyped and fails to present new compelling evidence, as I was talking about, right? So what I was telling you is that some of these documentaries, they'll give you a lot of information that maybe you probably haven't heard from folks in the higher intelligence agency, in the industrial complex and the military industrial complex, really in reality, that have actually stepped down or do not want any other part of the military industrial complex. In other words, the bad part about that is that they'll lose their pensions, and they get threatened a lot. Believe me, just like it happens, man. It's been doing that. They've been doing that for years to people since the 1947 crash in Roswell. Even before that, I think it was another one, 1942, right? That we don't talk about. But this is what I'm talking about. It gets covered up right away, right? And so we're like grains of sand, right? They use other people as sand grains to cover up what's really underneath. And I'm not saying that this film is not legit. I'm sure it is. But some people may have been influenced by Big Brother to say different things. Just like they say, I can only say this much, or I can only say that much. Like the what's that, Sean Ryan show. He has a lot of people on there. But they can only say so much, especially when you're in the military industrial complex. Because, why? You don't want to overstep, because some of them still have the clearance, right? Even after they're retired. And this is what I talk about, is how can we figure out who's legit, what's the truth, and what's not the truth, right? And who can we trust? Can you trust Big Brother? No. Me personally, this is just me. No. I'm going to say that right now. No, right? So, just remember that every time you're filling out your W-2 forms and your 1099s at the end of the year, the beginning of the year, and you're throwing pieces of paper away and going through the internet and trying to figure out all your taxes. Yeah, okay, you trust them? No. All right, so there's that's a big headache, right? But what I'm trying to get across is that you cannot trust something that's pulling you in different directions, right? Basically what I'm trying to say. And in this newsletter, it tells you about what the documentary has. I'll read a little bit to you. It says, in the telling documentary, it has slick production values, but rehashes familiar decades of grainy old videos, anecdotal pilot testimonies, insufficient to support extraordinary claims of alien technology. In other words, yes, no, yes, no. So it just says that there's a founding publisher of Skeptic Magazine on the phone from Santa Barbara. His name's Michael Shermer. He says, all we have is blurry photographs, grainy videos, and anecdotes from people that they say they know somebody who knows something, that they know something they saw a spaceship touch the aliens or worked with back engineering of spaceships and so on. True that, right? Isn't that true? Like, oh, I know somebody that knows this guy that saw this thing and went back there and they saw this and that. This is what we see a lot on YouTube, everywhere on there, man. It's everywhere. This is what we're seeing. So we never really get it from the horse's mouth, right? And that's what I'm trying to get at. And this is what this guy, Michael Shermer, was saying. And then he says, but if you say, who's this person that you talked to? Well, I can't tell you. Where was this spaceship? I can't tell you. Do you have any photographs? No. But there's a grainy video of this blob that was taken from the Navy pilot 14 years ago off the coast of San Diego. This is kind of weird. It's hard to say what it is, but it could be aliens, right? So, he's being, of course, a little facetious and just trying to be a smart butt, right? About it. But it is the honest truth of what you hear and say. If people don't want to say it, he just said it, right? Just like me here. I say it like it is. He said it like it is. And that's the truth about disclosure and about military disclosure. You are not going to get a straight answer. Almost like NASA, right? Inside joke. Flew right over. All right. So we'll keep that there. But anyway, let's take a quick break. We'll be back after this message.
Static screen, blue glow on my face, redacted pages all over the place. They said weather balloon over grainy tape, but the father found glass in a perfect shape. Desert sand turned to glass in a silent flash. Man in suits at his door, talking fast, talking trash. Tell me what you're hiding in the sky, all these years of looking up at life.
Alien Strand Podcast.
Flight logs missing, radar goes blind, pilots draw circles, they call them in their minds.
All right, welcome back to the show. Yeah, I love that music, don't you? I decided to change it up a little bit because I believe it has a lot to do with what we're talking about today, as far as the disclosure. And I believe music fills the soul with a lot of good stuff, right? And if we can say it in music, well, that's the best way to do it. But if you like today's episode, please give us a thumbs up all over the place, right? And don't forget to join us on Patreon and let's get back to it, all right? So when we were talking about this gentleman, Shermer, what he was talking about, he brought us to our attention that a lot of these guys were saying, well, I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy, right? And basically that always happens in these situations, just like when you hear stories of, let's just say like in the Spanish culture, La Llorona, right? We hear about, I know this guy who saw this guy, they were in the woods this night and suddenly heard some screams and cries and, but same thing, La Lechuza, in the Spanish culture, again, this bird or whatever, the Mothman too. It's like, I know this guy who saw this thing, and it's basically the same thing, right? Nobody has pictures, nobody's seen nothing, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. But in the ufology community, a lot of us do get a lot of videos and photos as far as us being citizen ufologists, right? And this is what I talk about. I would have made things differently. Of course, my films are just completely different. They're about the actual event. They're about the personal story that happened to that person at the time, right? And it because I want you to see firsthand of what they're seeing and what they're feeling and in their voices and how it's trembling and how, the things that happened to them even before or afterwards, because you need to know what it is and what it's about, right? Not just about the UFO itself, right? We see UFOs up in the sky all day long, right? Even on, man, Facebook has gotten so bad, and a lot of these other TikToks and things about a lot of these videos that are popping up, and man, I could tell they're AI right off the bat. I can tell they are. It's too contrasty, I look deep, not just on the. I look at the waves or like in the backgrounds, the leaves, how they move. People don't look at those things. I do. I can tell when something's real and what's not. And you can actually, if you have the video, you can actually ask ChatGPT to say, "Is this video real?" And it'll tell you. It'll give you a pretty good, close enough to tell you that it's real or it's not. Right. So, if you people are out there, please, if you know it's AI, stop posting it as something real just to get views and hits, because you're confusing the crap out of a lot of people, that are really, really interested in what's real. Unfortunately, you have to go to a lot of these groups that are using and have been monitoring real footage, right? So, or things that are happening to them as far as extraterrestrials, grays, things like that. You have to go to these groups, special groups that will let you come into their group. They won't let everybody in. It's like Alien Strand Disclosure Project, ASDP. We don't let everybody in because we want to make sure that you're in it for what you're in for, right? And then you're really looking, not just there to troll or have different views of what you think it is. If and that's fine. You have a comment, whatever. But if you're really, really looking or searching, if you've seen something, these are the groups to go to and show your footage, where you can show your stuff to them and they can break it down or they can help you with it as well. And it's, thank God we have these groups, right? To help, not just ours, but there's plenty of groups out there that will help you through a lot of these situations and contact, that you have had with a craft or an actual extraterrestrial or an entity, right? Even supernatural as well, because they can be confusing as well at that part. But what do we put into disclosure? Is this true disclosure of what these films and what these people are actually saying? Well, maybe I'm going to say it's a 50-50, because a lot of these, government people that get on these committees, they ask the questions and then later on you go back and then they retract a lot of things that they said. Why? Well, maybe because they say, you know what? If you keep going forward with this, we're not going to give you the money you need for this or the thing or that other thing, right? And that's the I hate to say it this way, but it's the awful part about politics. That's why you can't really get too involved with politics, because this is the way it is. Everything is transactional through funds, right? Unfortunately, it is. It all is. In other words, if you vote this way, we're not going to give you money for that. And if it is what it is, unfortunately, because every person, every congressman or every senator or whoever represents a state, right? And if you get too far deep into this world, which is disclosure, well, you might lose a lot of funding because of it, right? So there's things you can say and there's things you cannot say. And that's the truth and the reality of it all. And as far as disclosure, well, this stuff's been happening for a long time, right? A long time. Even before, we knew what it was. So there's another on the story, it says UFO secret files, drone swarms, and nuclear-linked sightings stun experts in 2025, right? So do these UFOs or UAPs go around nuclear silos? Yes, they do. We've known this for a while, right? And it just pretty much tells us that the decades-old reveal new clues, UFOs, on strange bursts over nuclear sites. Earlier this year, scientists at California Palomar Observatory discovered several instances in transient star-like flashes in photographs taken over 70 years ago that may hold a key to answers regarding instances of unidentified aerial phenomenon, UAPs or UFOs, appearing in nuclear test sightings across research paper published in Nature's Scientific Reports on October 20th, 2025. The image is oriented from digitalized astronomical plates, pieces of glass that capture images in the night sky, compiled of an observatory from 1949 to 1957, while also predating the launch of the first artificial satellite in October 1957. All right, so they were already seeing these things up in the sky while we were starting to launch our first satellites. We speculate that some transients could potentially be UAPs of Earth orbit, or if descending into the atmosphere might provide stimulus for some UAP sightings. The paper states, right? It's a new paper talking about it. While many objects were determined to be by scientists to be errors, markings, or physical plates, thousands of other sightings reported to correspond with various documented sightings of UFOs near nuclear testing sites. So, in one instance, bright objects were spotted in the night sky. In the same 2 weeks, when witnessed were reporters of numerous UAPs above Washington, D.C. in July 19th to July 27th, 1952, if you remember that famous photo. And it says the final documented sightings within the time frame was over nuclear testing site on March 17th, 1956, just 1 day after the Joe 21 test conducted by the Soviet Union, according to the New York Post. Researchers also subsequently observed transients hovering over at least 124 above-ground nuclear test sites that were active from 1951 until the launch of Sputnik in 1957. So this is telling you that these UAPs, UFOs, were actually around these nuclear silos, right? And they were tracking what we were doing, not just to ourselves, but what have we done, in other words, right? Just like Oppenheimer said, what have I done, right? And because he said, I have built the destroyer of worlds, right? This is what he did. So a lot of these UAPs were hovering over these missile silos because after we started doing testing, if you notice, we started getting more and more activity. Joe Rogan talks about this all the time, that he feels that since the days from nuclear testing, that the frequencies from the explosions that went out of our atmosphere into deep space, of these booms and crashes and everything, that called out more of these UAPs from interstellar places, different places around the galaxies, right? And it was like a beacon, a homing beacon. These people are doing something stupid, right? Let's go check it out. And this is what we see most of the time. Since the days of nuclear testing. And a lot of these instances were documented, where in these files, KGB, everything that we have as far as the unreleased documentation or released now documentation of UFO disclosure that you can find in the National Archives. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. All right? I've looked through the National Archives all the time. I'm always looking. because there might be something new, just like the Roswell crash. Right? We end up seeing some photographs, pictures of something that was in a book that was pretty darn close to what people witnessed on that day, what they saw, right? And they say that's pretty darn close to what it was. It was an accidental photograph that was put into one of the files or of a book, and it went out there unnoticed, actually. So once we started seeing with our digitized computer software to where you can highlight, bring out dark pieces, zoom in, it can actually fix the image even if it was destroyed in some sort of way, not totally destroyed, but the pixels, as far as I mean, because I know it was analog. Some things do get blurry, but now we can clear those things up a little bit more, right, with our digital software. So they were able to tell what these aliens, deceased aliens that were in the crash site, that were in that photos, which I did put on one of my podcasts, on a video podcast. Well, my last one, I believe, was on Rumble that I threw out there. So if you saw that one, you saw the pictures that I showed, right? Which is incredible. We didn't even, all we did was speculate about that crash over and over and over and over until that photo was resurfaced, right? And that's what we got out of that disclosure. It was an accidental disclosure, but we got it, right? So how do we see upcoming and future disclosure from our governments and filmmakers and people just in general giving out their correct information for you to know and to understand of what these extraterrestrials really are or what they're not, right? And as we start digging more and more, we know who the true ones are, who the real ones are, and we know who the fake ones are already. I can spot them a mile away already. So if you can't yet, just keep your eye on it. You'll see. You'll see which one it is and which one it's not. If you're a true ufologist, a true citizen ufologist, somebody who studies UFOs, crashes, abductions, reads the books, just digs into this constantly, you'll know that what is real and what is not. After you start doing a lot more research on the actual disclosure of what it is, right? It's not what you think it is. It goes deeper and darker than that. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back after this message.
Wind in my ears, flute in the dark, chimes on a string, something watching. Shapes in the daylight, parked up in the clouds above town, metal in the sunshine.
Alien Strand Podcast.
Clouds full of secrets, hiding in the white and gray. Wait till we're sleeping.
welcome back to the show. Hope you're enjoying today's content. Please give us a thumbs up. If you're on our Facebook or YouTube, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe, man. Hope you're enjoying this content today. All right, man. So as we were talking about disclosure, you know, it like I said, it goes real deep and dark, right? And as we know, that's what it is. It goes super dark. And as we've been doing this for such a long time, you know, we end up learning a lot more of what happens on the goings on of extraterrestrial contact and the dark side of it, right? And the disclosure part is just the beginning, really, in reality, right? It's really the beginning, because they give you all the information you need at the moment. They're feeding you like little bites, right? And they kind of get you interested in it, and bam, then it goes away. Have you noticed that? Like when a new film comes out, you see it, and like, oh, it goes crazy for about 2-3 weeks. Then you start seeing all the interviews, News Nation, everything like that, Fox News. You start seeing it all over the place, right? And then all of a sudden it just dies. Completely dead. 1 minute you're hot, next minute you're not, just like actors. That's the way it is in disclosure, right? The same freaking way. If you don't keep searching for it, it's going to stop right then and there. So, as we talk about disclosure and the government's giving you these baby trails or breadcrumbs, really, in reality, because that's what it is. They're going to give you breadcrumbs, little bites here, little bites there. Yeah, we might have it. No, we don't. Yeah, we might have it. Well, no, we don't. You know, and then you start thinking, man, can I trust these guys? Are they telling me the truth? No. No. You know, it is what it is if you're listening to this podcast, right? And I say this jokingly, but in the reality of it, no, they're not going to tell you a crap. Nothing. So, and we ain't never going to know, really, in reality, until the day that one of these things just decides to land in front of their freaking White House or wherever, there's a major public deal, you know, like you see in these films, like, I don't know, Independence Day or whatever, but not for destruction, but just to land and meet and greet, right? That's when you'll know, right? They can't hide anything anymore, right? And I think about this all the time. Now, if we did know the truth, if we did know the full disclosure of everything, let's just say we did, and they spilled the beans. Yeah, we've had this for quite some time. We had an Eben, you know, we had it in captivity for 7 years till it died, you know, and we were able to get a lot of information out of it. And this is where we actually come from. This is who we are. And there is this and there is not this. And, you know, we've been, you know, this is what it is, right? And if they ever did that, it would take, I don't know, maybe the technology that we have today, they would probably end up putting it a script into it within a year or two, and it would be just like a cataloged book that we keep on our desk every day, or something that would be a part of our cell phones, right? Like Google automatically is on every cell phone, right? So it'll be a part of that, to where it's like, oh, okay, well, you see this extraterrestrial, this is the type it is, and this is how it speaks. Or this is where it came from, yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. You know, and this is probably what will come in the future. If, mind you, if they told us the truth. I don't see that happening anytime soon. Unless, like I said, we had an accidental landing, a crash in front of thousands of people, something that would be witnessed by many, to where it cannot be hidden anymore, in plain sight, right? So if you guys are interested in ufology, UFOs, please follow our group, Alien Strand Disclosure Project. They're on Facebook. Go to my Skylight channel if you can. So if you go to all my links after this podcast is over, look at that. Look for Skylight channel. Go check it out there. Look for the you can go to the website. It'll take you right to it. And I have a channel there. It's like a channel, like a television channel, that's playing UFO stuff all day, all night long for a month, right? And you can watch all kinds of content on that channel. It's called Skylight One. Go check it out. And I hope you enjoy that, you know, and as you can see, the films are there as well. I do have the middle on there as well. Will pop up from time to time. And, you know, you can check it out there, or go to YouTube or Amazon or Tubi TV, actually, I'm still there. I'm on your Roku. If you go to Roku TCL, The Middle is on there as well, part 1. Part 2 is gaining a lot of traction already. So right now, they have The Middle part 1. It got taken down for a little bit because there was some little, something was wrong with the film at the very end. So I had to refix it and put it back up. But we're back up. We were on 15 channels. Now we're on 19 channels. Hello, how does that happen? Thank you. Thank you everybody for watching The Middle, the film. And, it goes a long way. And the part 2, it only had 3 channels. We're up to 9 now. So people are starting to take notice of The Middle, part 1, part 2. Part 3 will be out already. I'm finishing the captions already. It is out on some platforms, but not on all. And, of course, part 4, it's going to be my final film. Check that out as soon as it comes out this year in 2026. It'll be the final film for The Middle. And hopefully one day you guys, once they're all out there on Amazon or wherever they're at, you can see them all together, all in one shot. It might take you maybe half a day to watch them all. But, hey, it'll be something and you can learn from it, right? You can learn from my films. That's what they're about. It's a learning tool. And it teaches you, right? Just like my book, CE5. It's a guidebook. Basically, that's all it is. It's a little pocket book to have in your pocket, right? So you can know how to do CE5s. It's a guidebook. That's all it is. And it shows you how to do these things, right? And how to make contact if you want to safely, right? So I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. I've been just kind of in my own world, right? And just kind of stuck there for a little bit, but it's because I got busy on my regular job, things like that. I didn't have too much time, but I'm actually starting to get more time for myself, and I will have more content out to you guys on audio platform. I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. Please give me a thumbs up if you can, if you really enjoyed today's podcast, if you learned a little bit, and I'll keep going forward with it, right? I'm going to have a video podcast out here pretty soon too as well. So follow us on Patreon if you can. It's free. You'll see the links there for Patreon. Join for free or do the $5 a month. We really appreciate it. It goes a long way. Believe me, it helps a lot of this platform grow and to help other people as well who really, really need the help with what are they seeing in the skies? What is it? What am I looking at? How can I fix this, or how can I stop this from happening if I don't want it in my life anymore, right? So there's possibilities of everything, and there's a lot of people that we know that will help, right? Including myself. So like I said, hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. We gave you a lot of information, squeezed it into this 1-hour segment for you guys, and it's been my absolute pleasure to give this information. Like I said, give us a thumbs up. Follow us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, CastBox, Deezer, Amazon Music. We're everywhere. You can find Alien Strand Podcast. Don't forget to find us on Patreon. Go look for us there. Give us a thumbs up. Follow us there. And go to our Facebook. Check us out there, Alien Strand Podcast. You can follow me, my personal page. Hey, I'm a funny guy, so I'll throw a lot of funny stuff out there. If you like it, if you like it. If you don't, you don't. It is what it is, right? Anyway, you guys have yourselves a good day. Have yourselves a good evening. And have yourselves a good night.
About CE5 and extraterrestrial contact. Download my new book, now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple, and 14 other platforms. Book authored by Donald Ledesma. CE5, Frequencies of Contact.